abolishing the welfare state, quit paying disproportionately black people to remain home and be lazy, quit subsidizing single motherhood. They would support shutting down the Department of Education and returning education back to the states and implementing universal school choice, because black illiteracy rates are higher than ever. So the system as is has completely failed. Black men deserve a president who cares about making their lives better. No, I think we deserve a president who's just good for everyone. I'm considering this a bribe in a way. Look, I'm gonna give you some money if you just vote for me. Nothing in there about merit. Like only giving loans to businesses that can prove solvency. Luckily, I believe there's a growing contingent of black men and women that are no longer interested in identity politics. They want the same things that will benefit all Americans, and those are the same things Democrats will never support. Can November 5th just get here already? I can't wait to vote this witch out, man.
Dumb shit, dumb shit, dumb shit, dumb shit. But I'm gonna start with you, Vanessa. What do you think about this video?
Dumb shit. But no, I mean, I think it's just, when we think about politics, we have to think about what a democracy and representation mean. It is literally so that people can be elected in a high office and represent our needs and our values. So number one, that's it. So she should be creating policies that speak to black people, that speak to black men, that speak to black people, because those are the votes that she needs. So this ideal of pandering or, trying to put a carrot out, I mean, it's complete bullshit. This is what we have a democracy for. Even I think the marijuana thing is huge, because I think it's we should identify the majority of cannabis owned shops are owned by white or other males that are not black. However, there was one point we had 80% of incarcerated males had a charge dealing with marijuana. So now when you look at the statistics of when he's saying, okay, what are we doing trying to get black men to legally push drugs? No, I mean, white men do that. You've incarcerated all the black men, and now you give all the white men permits to legally sell it, and they're making billions off of it. So for me, that resonated huge. The city of Oakland has started a program where they actually do equitable lending to black-owned cannabis shops and people that were incarcerated with cannabis charges previously. So when we talk about things that need to change, and I believe it's a big, big thing that she's going out and going on a limb and saying, let me get you some specific plans that work specifically for you. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think, that clip is just ignorant.
You know what I don't get, Moya, is that the most ignorant people have the loudest, I think, microphones. And so people have been saying, what is she doing for black people? What is she doing for black men? Black men, we ain't voting for her ass because she ain't doing nothing specifically for us. Now when she rolls out something specifically for black men, now you have stuff like this. What do you think about that, Moya?
That's the part that's the most, I guess you can say, discouraging, is that now she has it, and it seems as if one sector doesn't want it. When I watched Charlemagne the God's interview with her, you could see not only did they ask very, very poignant questions there, she answered them very well. One of the things that was disturbing about the gentleman's comment when he said these health programs specifically for us, prostate cancer is not able to be solved by the gym. Prostate cancer has to be early detected. And so when you do that, you do need policies that really focus on those things. So it just feels like it's ignorance that's being spewed out there. And if we don't take a moment to really think about what they're saying, it leaves us all at a disadvantage when people think that that's reality, and that's the truth.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what about you, Dr. Charm? What are your thoughts around, the video of what Kamala has stated, and then this video specifically?
Well, first of all, I always wonder what happened to Braxton from Jamie Foxx show. So that guy, I think that was his reincarnation. But here's the thing: this last ditch effort with Kamala and this so-called blackmail plan. Now, if you actually read the plan, it lists multiple times black men and others. It says it lists 3 different times. So who are the others? Because they're not black men. And that interview with Charlemagne like, if y'all go in the YouTube comments on that, they were tearing him up in the comments because he went so easy on her. He mentioned the Griot interview where she said, am I going to sit up here and say I'm going to do something just for Black people? No. He said, well, what do you mean? And she said, oh, I didn't mean that. But you said it. You said you're not going to do anything specifically for Black people. And this blackmail plan is exactly that. It says Black people and others. So Kamala Harris has still not gone on record with a specific plan for Black people.
I'm glad that you're on here, and I'm glad that you said that. You think about the Asian hate bill. That wasn't just for Asian people. That was for Asians and others. That was just the spearhead, or the policy that spearheaded, a law put in place for those that were affected by those things. But I'm glad you have a differing opinion, because I think that's great. What do you think, Joe, as the only male on here? Is this plan specifically helping Black men?
I don't know. And I don't think we're ever going to know, to be honest with you. I mean, it seems like every election season, they find brothers like this to come out of the basement and put them in front of microphones and make it seem like this is the representation of Black men everywhere. And, we all feel like this. Hundreds and hundreds of Black men that I don't know anybody like that. And maybe I know one person that is a Black dude that actually supports Trump. I'm not saying it don't exist, but it is, what I'm saying is that it hurts. I watched that video and it hurts to always, put out the narrative that, this is a representation of Black men as a whole. So I don't know if those objectives she put out or are going to help Black men. I doubt it, but I don't have any expectation. Why would I have any expectation of any candidate to do anything to help move the needle for Black men when it's never been done in history? It's unfair. It's unfair of us to now look at this woman who is a first, 40 some odd, 100 some years of presidents. And here we are dealing with a first, and we're expecting her to automatically, carry the burden and move the needle for Black men when in generations it hasn't been done. I'm not looking for her to do that.
And that's the thing I don't understand. Because Black people, we expect people to do something specifically for us. If it does help Black people, what's wrong with it helping other people too? If it is specifically, if we're saying this is helping Black people, what's then wrong with it? So it's like, we're going to help Black people, but can't nobody else get this. But it's good to see, because there is a disparity in healthcare. They say that Black people have a higher pain tolerance than everybody else. And you know that, Dr. Charm. There is a disparity in when you talk about, Vanessa, marijuana. I own a dispensary in Oakland. Like you said, they were giving out licenses specifically for people who were arrested, who were incarcerated for those crimes. That's the reason why I got into marijuana, because I knew that Black people were being discriminated against on, and incarcerated at higher rates. And then white people were out here making trillions of dollars on the same thing. I wanted to have a seat at the same table that these white people were having. And so now that gives us a little bit more equity. It doesn't even the playing field, but it gives us a little bit more equity. But there are so many other things that I think we need to consider when we're looking at the plan. So, and the other thing too is, we ain't even requesting all this shit from Donald Trump. He's saying, look, we about to get these police immunity to kill y'all with no immunity, and with impunity, nobody cares. Trump 2020, and y'all Black asses is the main ones that's being affected, but we gonna go with Trump because we just don't want a Black woman to be the president of the United States. I want to look at another video that actually outlines what her policies are for Black men.
I want to highlight 10 specific steps he would take as president. Number one, business loans. Black Americans are twice as likely to be denied credit by banks, so Harris would provide 1 million fully forgivable loans up to $20,000 to Black entrepreneurs and others. Number two, more jobs without college degrees. Harris would eliminate unnecessary degree requirements and promote pathways for those without college degrees for 500,000 federal jobs. Number three, more Black male teachers. As a former high school English and social studies teacher, I know it's important for young Black males to see Black men in front of the classroom as role models and mentors. scores. Only 1% of public school teachers are black men. Harris would create pathways for more black men to become teachers, including apprenticeship programs and loan forgiveness. Number 4, healthcare. My uncle, who had sickle cell disease, died last year, and I know several black men my age who have been recently diagnosed with prostate cancer. But don't get me started on the mental health needs of black men. We've been traumatized by an unfair criminal justice system and the world that demonizes us instead of understanding us. But Harris would launch a national health equity initiative focused on black men that addresses sickle cell disease, diabetes, mental health, and prostate cancer. Number 5, weed equity. Black men have been disproportionately arrested and incarcerated for marijuana-related charges. Now that cannabis is becoming more socially acceptable and profitable, it's only fair that we benefit from the changing system that hurt us. Harris wants not only to legalize marijuana, but also create opportunities for black Americans to succeed in this new industry. Number 6, ban the box. I have a law degree, and yet when I lived in Harlem, I was still stopped in the street, arrested, and locked up in jail. Harris would work with Congress to require businesses to limit the unnecessary use of criminal arrest histories, convictions, and credit scores in employment decisions. Number 7, mentorship programs. Harris would expand funding for community mentorship programs with a proven track record of helping young black men succeed. She would also support programs like My Brother's Keeper. Number 8, support black farmers. Harris would continue to support black farmers and ranchers who have been denied access to capital. Number 9, relieve medical debt. My stepfather passed away in April 2020 with a mountain of medical debt. Kamala Harris plans to work with states to relieve medical debt, which is the leading cause of bankruptcy in America and disproportionately hurts black Americans. And number 10, crypto protection. More than 20% of black Americans, including me, have owned cryptocurrencies. I lost money in crypto, but high risk, high reward crypto markets provide opportunities outside of the existing stock market for many black men. A Harris administration would protect black men who invest in these assets.
So he spilled out a lot of things, but people, it's so funny how people have these perspectives or how they take things, because people are gonna take it and twist it to whatever narrative they have because their minds are made up. So what I want to know from you guys, and I want to know from the audience, I want to look at it from a positive perspective. What is something that you see in those policies that you specifically think is something that will be great for our people? So specifically, what do you think, panel? And then in the audience, in the comments, well, I want to know what you specifically like about the things you just heard. But before we answer that, we're going to go to a quick we'll be right back.
Hey, if you're just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I am Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I am the proud producer of this show. So I hope that every day when you join us, you leave a little smarter than you came, because that's the point. Otherwise, why are you watching? So if you want to receive notices for when we go live, Fly Nubian Money goes live every single day. That's Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you don't know, now you know. All you have to do is text the word Queens. That's Queens. That's Queens to 87948. That's 87948. That's Queens to 87948. Yes? If you want.
So text the word Queens to 87948, QUEENS to 87948. So let's ask the one male on the panel. I want to ask you first, Joe. What specifically, name a couple of things that stood out for you that you thought would be great for black men.
The one thing that meant the most to me as a former teacher was, the policy regarding more black male teachers in school. I have experienced what's, I guess, considered black privilege. And the only time that is when I've been a black male teacher, because that was very easy to get hired because we were in such high demand, because they feel like our presence in a room automatically shifts things to a different place for the students. So if we can get more black male teachers in schools, but have us be more than just behavior specialists and seen as, an opposing threat to the students, and actually represent something that, looks like role model, then, I would love to see that, if that's something that you can actually, back up.
Yeah, well, they got to increase that pay too.
Yeah, exactly. I was talking to my great aunt, who grew up in, the civil rights era, and she was telling me about what it was like going to high school for her. Back in, I don't know what year it was, but she said, hey, all the teachers were the smartest people, because they couldn't get jobs anywhere else. Your doctors couldn't get jobs in hospitals. Your lawyers couldn't get high paying legal jobs. So all of our teachers, everybody was black. and they were all like the smartest people. And as time has gone on, obviously with the pay being what it was, and we're not getting the highest qualified individuals in those schools, and we need.
Yeah. What do you think, Moya? What stood out for you out of that list of policies?
Access to funding, definitely. As someone that helps people with their taxes and helps people get their money straight, they come in to me with so many amazing ideas of what they want to do for themselves, for businesses, for their families, and how they can help it grow. So that by far is one of the biggest game changers, by giving them access to funding.
Yeah, it says approximately, I'm looking at ChatGPT, only 29% of Black men apply for business loans, but only 17% actually receive them. This disparity highlights challenges in access to capital, which can be attributed to factors like credit, systematic barriers, and discrimination in lending practices. And so if we can have grants specifically to help those who are underserved, which they've been trying to take away with this DEI initiative, that would be awesome. Yeah, for sure. We all need that. I mean, Black women, less than 1% of the funding, and we're not getting, they don't want to give it to us. So I think that would be great too. What about you, Dr. Charm?
Well, I mean, okay. So here's the thing. I mean, I know you mentioned earlier that, like, why should Black people have something of our own, specifically with this Harris plan? And the thing is that no other group, we are non-immigrant group, no other group in this country has endured what Black people have endured. And we have unique needs that need to be addressed. And I think that this is it's a Band-Aid. It's not anything. And why did it take all of the men kind of revolting online over the weekend from what Obama said? Because this is where it's really starting from. It really stemmed from, like, she had no plan. Nothing for Black people, nothing for Black men.
She's been working on this for several years, but go ahead.
Please don't interrupt me when I'm trying to give my opinion, because this is my time. Thanks. So she hasn't done anything specifically for Black people. She's gone on record saying she hasn't done that she won't do anything specifically for Black people. She has a history in her own state as Attorney General of not exonerating prisoners where there was overwhelming evidence. I mean, I can't remember his name, but they just had to pay him $13 million because she sat on evidence for 5 years that would exonerate this man. And then the policy that she had with the parents of putting, arresting them or charging them when their children missed school, and the woman who her daughter had sickle cell anemia, and they end up losing their home because this child had sickle cell and was hospitalized like 100 and some days out of the year, and the school district was aware of it. So this woman has a very problematic history. It took Black men revolting over the weekend from Obama talking down. And I think what's happening is that Black voters are getting more savvy. We did identity politics with Obama, and most of us, I voted for both times. A lot of us voted for him because he was a Black man. And we're like, he's going to do something for us. He didn't do anything specifically for Black people. And he said, I'm America's president. I'm not the Black president, in so many words, that first 4 years. So we're thinking, oh, we're going to reelect him. He couldn't do anything that first 4 years because he wanted to get reelected. And then here comes the second set of 4 years and didn't do anything. And Jesse Jackson got in trouble for saying, when he had the hot mic moment of saying Barack Obama talks down to Black people, but he does. He talked down to Morehouse. The Morehouse graduates, I think those men were very hurt to have him talking to them like that. And this is the upper echelon. Morehouse is the upper echelon of HBCUs specifically for Black men. That's not the kind of man that needs to be talked to like that, because these are the people who are trying to leave that stereotype behind. So, and I bring up Obama because his people are the same people that are on the Kamala, that are working for Kamala. So they're all together. And so I just think we need to be more savvy about this.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you answer that, Moya. But before that, I would like to know, Dr. Charm, which was my question, lady. Which out of the plan was there something in there that you actually thought was good?
First of all, it's not for us. And so I want to see something for us. And that's why I gave the answer that I gave, because it wasn't specifically for us. And so I cannot resonate with anything. Like, I understand marijuana has affected us disproportionately, but why is the criminal stuff being brought to Black men? Like, why is it assumed that all Black people are criminals?
All Black men disproportionately affected us. That's what we need.
It has, but why is that the first go-to is something about some criminals? So I just think we need to give ourselves.
When you look at the criminal justice system, Dr. Charm, we are disproportionately affected. So that should definitely be something that's looked at in terms of policies that are for us. I believe that. Like, we talk about where there's no justice system for us because we're incarcerated more than everybody else. We're not doing more crimes, but we're convicted more. We're getting the death penalty more. So we should have something in the criminal justice system.
I think that Band-Aid is not going to address the root issue. And really,
so what would address the root issue?
I think the root issue needs to be addressed by restorative justice and reparations. And specifically, when you have reparations, you eliminate the issue that's causing criminality, because most of the time, criminality is related to mental illness, mental health issues, and socioeconomic. And so when you eliminate the socioeconomic issues, then you eliminate the need for people to participate in criminal behavior, because a lot of times it's due to economics.
I'm with you on reparations, though. I just think there's more than one way to skin a cat, and we can get there. But Moya, what do you have a response to what she was saying?
Yeah. So My Brother's Keeper, which the gentleman highlighted in his video, that was an initiative first brought forth by President Barack Obama. And then you're right, in many cases, it doesn't always have to say Black agenda, but President Obama did bring forth the Affordable Health Care Act, which has obviously led to where we are now when we talk about bringing down the cost of very important drugs, especially insulin for our communities, because diabetes is one of those areas that disproportionately affects Black people. So when we go ahead and mention it doesn't say Black, or it does say Black and it's a Band-Aid, I think we have to really take a deeper look and see what the issue is here. And so thereby addressing that.
And can I chime in too really quick? Because I was like, in the beginning of this, I wasn't a Kamala fan, but and I still think there's tons of things that Kamala needs to work on. But she did co-author the George Floyd Policing Act. So when we say that she hasn't done anything specifically for Black people, I think that you putting a bill out that releases a database that get rid of chokeholds and tries to highlight misconduct so that police can't jump from different force to force is specifically for Black men. I think that is an issue. Police brutality, so I mean, just right there. Your other question, Constance, I believe that access to capital and home ownership are two of the biggest things that can change our situations. Home ownership is everything. I mean, you instantly gain equity. You can pass it down to your children, and you can always pull from equity and reinvest that same equity in another property and start to really develop wealth. So access to federal loans is everything. Try running a business without a loan and making payroll. It is extremely hard. So if we're talking about changing socioeconomic conditions, those are two major factors that play a big role in the Black community. So I think they're both important. And I think with these two candidates, I think we have to look at who is where will Black people benefit the most? Who is trying to do the most? So even if you feel like now Kamala has now just started creating specific policies for Black men, the push for it was needed. It is happening. That is what democracy is. So for us to now come be upset that she's doing that is like completely backwards. Now hopefully
keeps moving. It's like, okay, she did. Okay, now that's not enough. Okay, what is going to be enough? At what point is something a start of something? Because Trump ain't said shit about Black men. Trump ain't thinking about your Black ass. The only thing he's thinking about is woke people. What do he say? Woke is for losers. You woke people, y'all are losers. And when you think about the shit that this man says, like if y'all are really thinking about voting for this man and he's representing us and he has the key to the nuclear, or he can push the button or the code to the nuclear weapon, and this man is rambling for 45 minutes. All he talks about is who win. I beat him in this and I have more people. Like, he's not talking policy, and y'all really only here talk about It's crazy. I want to look at some of the slides though on just some statistics just around, black voting and black votership, if we could bring some up. According to Black men in the voting polls, according to a recent Pew survey, 73% of Black men will vote are leaning towards voting for her. So it is just the idea. Okay. A more recent poll from Howard University found that in swing states, 88% of Black men over 50 and 72% of those younger say they will likely vote for her. So let's go back. So is this just an idea of the people who have the loudest mics are the loudest, the biggest mics are the loudest, because are Black men really not voting for her in the way that they're saying? I mean, we hear a lot of people online complain about her. We hear a lot of people here complaining and saying that they're going to vote for Trump. But is it a myth, or do you think that's really true? Is it really real? Just based upon the people that you talk to in your circle, the folks that you deal with, Dr. Charm, what are you seeing?
I mean, they're saying that 25% of Black men are turning Republican for this election. I think what's happening though is I think a lot of people are voting for Trump in this election on an issue, and I don't see anything wrong with.
What issue though? What issue, Dr. Trump?
On the immigration issue, and what people don't know is that illegal immigration hurts one group in America more than any group of any race, and that is Black men. And that's been statistically proven, because they take the jobs that are for the entry level, low or no skill jobs that would otherwise go to Black men. When those go to illegal immigrants, it actually increases the incarceration rate, because again, going to my prior point of socioeconomics leading to criminality, which leads to incarceration. If you don't have a job, then you're selling weed or selling whatever to make it, and then you end up in jail because you didn't get that entry level job. I'm coming from living in Chicago for the past decade, and I have never in my life seen young Black men in their 20s begging on the streets. And I would always try to give what I could, because I'm like, well, I would rather that you be, panhandling than trying to rob somebody. And then I'm looking at what happened in Chicago, where the migrants are getting all these benefits. They spent billions of dollars already in Chicago. My property taxes went up considerably, and to see that is going to migrants instead of to the homeless Black people, veterans, or just homeless Black men that are in my neighborhood in Chicago right now. So I think a lot of people are voting on this illegal immigrant issue, and that's why they're turning Republican. And it is a slap in the face to see people getting $5,000 and $6,000 in EBT when people who are citizens and whose parents and grandparents and forefathers built this country are not getting these type of benefits. It's egregious.
You know what's crazy is that the Mexicans and the Hispanics are taking all these Black jobs that have been picking grapes all these years. Never seen it. Let's go to commercial.
You want to grow your money and not blow your money, as Constance says, check us out at flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, programs, videos, resources. In 2024, there's no reason to be broke when there's information all around us. So get your money right. flynubianmoney.com.
So let me ask you, Moya, what's the consensus for the people that you know? Or what are they leaning towards? What are they saying about this?
So one of the biggest issues, and I think that's what they're going against, not necessarily Black men voting for Trump, it's Black men deciding to sit on the couch and not vote. And that's what we really need to focus on, is getting them and getting a lot of people still that are on the fringes of this doesn't affect me to vote. And that's the biggest area. And that's the biggest part. One of the things that really bothers me is when we talk about, though, is this whole idea of this Black jobs. This has been something that's been going on since the 80s, and it feels like we keep perpetuating it. But in reality, we have been increasing in terms of our skill set and our job set and what we can do. And it gets to be tiring when we still keep repeating those same things. We have made a lot of progress since those times, and we are not relegated to certain positions anymore. So I think that's important. Number two, when we talk about in terms of immigration, Texas and California, they have some of the highest GDPs, and they also have some of the highest immigrants in their states. So there is a correlation to being effective as a country with people that come in from all over the globe, not just these Hispanic jobs that they're attempting to tell us that are being taken from us.
Yeah. What do you think, Vanessa?
I mean, I agree. I I don't think that the immigrants coming over are taking black jobs. I haven't seen too many
You sure
black
they not
men.
taking all the grapes that the
They're
black
not
men were
selling
picking?
oranges and,
What?
and grapes. You know, I mean, and I think that like Moya was mentioning, I think the skill set and what Kamala is offering is pushing more college degrees, pushing more a higher level of than this idea that we're competing with immigrants that come over here and have to do a certain level of unskilled labor and things that don't really require them to have degrees. So if we're looking at what she's pushing versus, you know, what I just don't believe they're taking black jobs. And I don't think my thing is, I don't believe that immigrants are the biggest issue right now. I think that we have a plethora of other issues, capital being one. I think when you allow, you know, you have a large population of black men incarcerated for marijuana and cannabis charges, and you allow white men and Persians to come out and now make billions. We're not in the millions, billions of dollars off marijuana industries, and the black people, the same black people that were locked up for marijuana, can't even get the licenses or the funding or the capital, which is why this is important to make, you know, to run businesses in the cannabis industry. I think it's insane. I think small things like that are bigger issues. Capital and home ownership are bigger issues to black people than immigrants coming over here. That's just my personal opinion.
Let me tell you guys something, because I keep seeing people talking about how Hispanics are taking construction jobs. Okay. And it's great that they are, because these are even jobs that I don't see a whole lot of black people doing. I know tons of construction companies. They cannot find skilled black workers that want to work construction.
I run a construction company, Constance. I run a construction company, and it is very difficult to find skilled black workers, but that's because most of them are doing other stuff.
Right.
I do have a couple of contractors that do like drywall and so forth, but they're also they're owning the company.
Mm-hmm.
So I know a few other black owners of construction companies.
Mm-hmm.
And then once again, access to capital. When you look at these SBA loans and they have 8A programs, those loans are specifically, if black people apply for those loans, they are getting them.
Yeah.
It is so,
It's got
it
how you
makes
stick
it
together.
so, it literally ends the competition. I know the bottom line is capital is an issue. You put someone like Trump in there, you want to see programs designed for black people to get capital removed, go ahead and vote for Trump.
Right. Think about this. What the Supreme Court has been doing with the whole idea of DEI. That's Trump's Supreme Court, and they try to take that away from you guys. Unplugged. I know you said that you don't know people like the person in the last video, but have you been hearing from your brothers that they don't want to vote for Kamala? What's the general consensus for the people that you know?
I think that just the two things can be true type of situation, right? So it's like it's obvious that voting for Trump is really not a real option. You know what I mean? Like you can't really do that. But also, it is it's fair to understand how frustrated it is to get tired of the pandering that happens. Like from Kamala, like what happened in 2020 with Biden when Biden was running. Like you saw every black person in the world in his campaign in front of every camera there was. And as soon as the election was over, haven't seen what the dude from the congressman from Louisiana, I can't even remember his name. He was all over the news and all over, outlets. Haven't seen him since. Kamala herself was all over the place and really didn't see her again until, it was time for her to run. So it's like two things can be true. I understand the frustration when you see a black man talking about voting for Trump. That bothers me too. But I also have empathy for the fact that you just get tired of all the pandering. So, and I think that's kind of the consensus that I'm getting, but I know a lot of brothers that's like outright, like just wants to see, this black woman elevated, if not for nothing else, just the symbolism of, putting dents or cracks in that glass ceiling for black women in general. And I'm with that, but also the pandering, it just gets irritating, it gets irritating.
And that goes back to, hey, somebody mute. That goes back to, I think that might be you, Moya. Is that you? Feedback. Somebody got some feedback, but I do think it goes back to, it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you say nothing, then y'all pissed off. If you say something, then y'all pissed off. So it's like, what do we do? If you ask for it, we give it to you, y'all mad. So it's like, what? But you know, Big Mac said, I want Trump to win. He said, I kind of want Trump to win just so I could see exactly how he basically fucks up the economy, and then all of y'all gonna be mad. That's actually the reason why I was kind of going for Kamala, right? Because at first I was just like, I don't give a damn about who wins, because really, in my opinion, Joe was kind of the same as Trump. Like nobody talking about reparations. I didn't give a damn.
Start calling me Biden, please, because you started off talking about slow ass Joe, and I'm like, just start calling him Biden while I'm on here.
but for me, what it felt like for me was when especially all these crazy ass racist people, these Mountain Dew drinking inbreds that hate Black people and hate women so much. I just wanted to see them suffer. I just want a Black commander in chief, so that all these mother could just be just maybe they'll do this, or maybe they'll unalive themselves in some way, and then we'll be rid of all this craziness. I just wanted to see a Black woman in power. Now, at the end of the day, they're all politicians to me. So they're going to do what politicians do. And then you also got to understand that this stuff has to still go through Congress. Like, this stuff has to be voted on. So is this really going to actually end up happening? But you know, one thing about Trump is he vetoed everything he wanted to veto. He vetoed more than any other president in the history of the United States, because whatever he said, even if they didn't vote against it, he used his veto pen. And hopefully they'll take notes and they'll do the same thing. I do want to look at this other video though. And this is another brother who was talking about her policies and what he thought.
So Magic Johnson didn't work. Barack Obama didn't work. So now you're resorting into trying to pimp Black men. Oh my God. If Kamala do not go and have a seat immediately, okay? See, you're exposing yourself because you're married to a whole white man, a whole Caucasian guy, okay? Why haven't you offered the Caucasian men anything? Why haven't you highlighted anything that you offered the Caucasian men? You don't think they need anything? You don't think there's poor Caucasian men out here? I mean, you just single out Black men? Why? Because you need our votes. Obvious. You're part of a system that Black men hate, and I don't think you understand that. You was a part of a system that took Black men out of their homes and separated them from their families and incarcerated them and made them slaves. You think they're going to vote for that? You are their ops. You are a whole prosecutor. You are a part of the police department. And Black men do not care too much for the police department because of the mistreatment that they have been receiving for thousands of years from the police department. So, good try, Kamala. Trump 2024. That's the only way we're going.
Okay, so I know, Dr. Trump, you said this was a parody, and I'm thinking that maybe it is, because can't nobody be this ignorant, but I don't know, Dr. Trump, what you think? I'm gonna start with you.
I truly think it was a parody. I don't know. I don't know anything about this guy.
I lost brain cells listening to this dude.
If we do a deep dive, it might come. But I think he's exaggerating some things that are based on real responses or real issues. I don't know, but I do want to just give this statistic, because everybody says they think immigration doesn't hurt Black people. This is from the National Bureau of Economic Research that talks about from 1980 to 2000 the influx of immigration. So that's not even illegal. That's just legal immigration, I'm assuming. Reduced the wage of Black high school dropouts by 8.3%, reduced the employment rate by 7.4 percentage points, and increased the incarceration.
Wait, go back. Slow down a little bit. I need to hear it again. Slow down a little bit.
Paper published by the National Bureau of Economic Research estimates that the influx of immigration, it didn't say whether legal or illegal, between 1980 and 2000, because that's when we start to see like a real increase in a lot of immigration, reduced the wage of Black high school dropouts by 8.3%, reduced the employment rate by 7.4 percentage points, and increased the incarceration rate by 1.7 percentage points. Then also just anecdotally, there was that story where they had the chicken. It was like a chicken processing plant. There was one in Illinois and the other in Alabama, where they got raided by ICE and got rid of all the illegal immigrants who were there. And all those jobs went to Black American people, and they raised the wages by like several dollars. And so the thing is that I don't have an issue, and I don't think anybody has an issue to legal immigration. It's the illegal immigration that undercuts wages, and this myth that it takes jobs that people don't want to do. No, it takes jobs that people don't want to do for slave wages or for wages that are not fair. And so, I think, that guy was funny. But I mean, this comes from real concern. People have real concerns out there, and I have just on the surface, because it also drains the social services. I mean, I have a friend who is a single mother, and she was paying in the New York area, she's paying like $1,000 a month for childcare, and found out like some of the people who had just gotten over here were getting free childcare, and she ended up finding a way to get a voucher. But it wasn't made readily available to her. It was like she had to hear about it from somebody, And the irony of that and the sadness of it is that when people are getting over here, the Venezuelans and the migrant crisis, they've got services right at their fingertips. They're being shown what's there for them. I think New York pledged like $50 million for this job thing where they get certain jobs. And so all the services are being made to be readily available at their fingertips. But for us, we got to go duck and dive and talk to Keisha and Renisha and find out, did you hear about it from, and just to maybe get it. And I think that's where
is that state or federal though? Is that Kamala or is that the state department?
Well, here's the thing: is that they're using state resources in these states that are sanctuary cities that have, or sanctuary states that have, they have sanctuary cities. They're using state resources and municipal resources, but they're also using federal resources. So it's a combination of both.
Who's making the decisions? Are the state
it's federal and state. It's been made at the federal level and the state level, because the federal level is providing the dollars, like in Chicago, the governor made things available. The mayor of Chicago made things available. That's why you see all these videos of people yelling at the mayor. But you also have federal resources that they're pulling from that are earmarked specifically for the migrant crisis. And so people are seeing like, man, all this money going to these folks. I'm still going to go on about Inglewood Barbie out there in Chicago. Like, she's been feeding people over there at 51st and Wentworth at the police stations. I mean, I've been following her for years and I've donated. And, she even posted something. If y'all go on her Instagram, she's talking about like the comparisons as to what resources she didn't get. And she's been doing it for years. And these are mostly Black American or American people. And then when the migrants come in, they got warming buses. They were able to sleep over in the police stations where they kicked the friends, what she calls the homeless people that are the unhoused people, the friends, kick them out. And, they're getting all, to see, it's just like a slap in the face to see people who are not citizens getting resources that citizens don't get.
I understand that completely. I definitely do. Because it definitely needs to be addressed. Like, this should not be happening. But do you think Trump is really going to do it? Because he talked about putting his border up and he never did. 4 years.
Well, he did. Well, here's the thing: is that when the pandemic happened, some of the what people are saying for that is that it kind of eliminated a lot of the need because the pandemic happened, because then they instituted the pandemic thing where you're not supposed to let people over here because it's a health risk. And so that curbed a lot of immigration. But when Biden came in, I mean, it was late. He reversed like some of the first things he did was sign those executive orders that reversed a lot of the stuff that Trump did. And then now you got 10 million extra people. Like it's like double to triple under Biden.
Okay, we're going to go to commercial, but I do want to talk about that, because did he do it because he had to, or did he do it because he wanted to?
They want voters. That's what they want. And then there's also a sinister. We're going to
go to commercial. We gotta go to commercial. I'm going to get in trouble.
Fly Nubian Money is now on Spotify. Yes. We are on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. All you have to do is search Fly Nubian Money and we will appear. All of our episodes. Make sure that you leave a 5-star rating and review so other people that come along and are looking for a good show to watch, they'll follow us too. If you are interested in being on Fly Nubian Money, sorry, I don't have any spaces. I'm just playing. If you are interested in being a queen or a king on Fly Nubian Money for the day, please reach out to me. I'm at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net. Also, if you need help with your business, go ahead and send me an email for that too. Okay. I've said enough. Now, back to the show.
So I love this discussion. One of the things you said in the beginning was about how when the immigration rose, then black kids dropped out of high school. Their unemployment rate went up, and I don't know that that's actually a direct correlation. I know that you got that online, and I know.
No, I didn't say that they dropped out of high school. I said that it affects them the most because people who don't have a high school education have lower skills. So they're in direct competition for low skill entry level work that doesn't require a college degree. You see, one of the things is Kamala is trying to eliminate the college degree for the federal jobs in order to help that's part of her black male plan. So even she recognizes that there's an education disparity. And so when you have an influx of immigrants, illegal immigrants who are low skill, low education, don't speak English, or may or may not speak English, they're competing with Black men who are high school dropouts or who are on the lower end. Unfortunately, in the labor market, Black men are at the lower level of the labor market.
We got to change that. So, but let me ask you, Joe. With that being said, what is, because I know, okay, so for you, it's the immigration crisis, right? That's a big thing for you. But what do you think, as a Black man, is really extremely important for Black men? Is it the idea that Black men are disproportionately affected by the immigration crisis? Is it that Black men need funding? Is it that we need more Black male teachers? I know we talked about what most stood out for you, but I'm talking about overall for Black men in this country. What needs to be addressed the most?
From my perspective, I would answer that by saying it's probably the justice system is probably where we need the most attention. Obviously, we are unfairly and disproportionately affected by that in a major way. Going all the way to the foster care and adoption system, it's a pipeline, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they get us early, and all these systems are intertwined and connected. So, if anybody has the actual ability to affect change in the systems that have been broken for generations, then that's what we should be pointing to. But I mean, to answer your question directly, I would say the legal system, that's the justice system is tore up for us.
Yeah. What do you think, Vanessa? I know you have funding, but what do you think overall?
I mean, I agree. I agree with Joe. I think it's a mix of funding, and also we need to reform our system. You have Black men that are wrongfully incarcerated, given unfair sentences where their white counterparts get probation, and you got Black men getting 10 years in a case where a white teenager might get probation. So just think about what that does to a family, right? If you remove two incomes out of a family, you can imagine the level of poverty. It's easy to go into poverty if you got 2, 3 kids, or hell, even one. So I think it's essential for us to, really look for a candidate that at least wants to dive into dissecting the justice reform system and the policing, because it begins at the policing, right?
Yeah.
When the police pick you up, and then you go down the line, you get the judges. Which I also want to highlight too, that this administration has put more Black judges in their positions than any other administration. So we also need to think about that, right? We're not just voting for the president, but we're voting for people who have the power to put, justices into power, judges into power. So I think it's very important when we look at these two candidates that we really, really narrow down how is this going to affect us, and which candidate do we have the best chance, right? I don't think any politician is going to give you everything. You're not going to get a golden goose with any politician.
Yeah.
But what politician will be better for the Black community,
Yeah.
right? And what are our issues? So, yeah, I think justice reform and access to capital.
And when you look at that, privatized prisons, we need to have a discussion around that.
It just really quick before you move on, because on this ballot in California, it's the first state to do it. On the ballot currently, right now, we have a proposition that is basically ending forced prison labor, which is crazy, right? We're in 2024.
Slavery,
and basically,
essentially.
Exactly, ending. So this is on the ballot to vote in California. So I think that's a start for us to really roll back, because then, if you had to pay people wages and if they were able to send wages back to their family, I mean, just think about that. That's a small thing, but it's everything, right? You pay
Mm.
people wages. You got prisoners making billions of dollars for Victoria's Secret and whatever else corporations, but if they got paid and were able to send that money back to their families
Yeah,
or their children, right, it would create some economic growth, in addition to just reforming the system so that they're not in prison in the first place for stupid stuff.
that's good. My nephew, Michael Tubbs, is running for lieutenant governor, and he's actually the one who brought in universal income. So I think he probably would be definitely someone who would fight for that. But Joe, you had something that you wanted to add to the conversation?
Yeah, just real quick, because I see the conversation about, what if you're not a criminal, right? So, and that's making my point for me, because, I'm not a criminal, all right, but I almost lost my entire life to the justice system for crimes I didn't even commit. You don't have to be a criminal, you just have to show up in a space and people decide that you look like one, or determine that you can just simply be accused, and your life can be. I have nephews who grew up in the foster care system when I had a home for them to be in, but the system wouldn't allow them to come live with me and grow up in a space where I could be, connected to them and love on them. So they grew up in the foster care system, and one of them pretty much went from that system to the prison system and spent 10 years of his life in the prison system. And then as soon as he got out of the prison system, he ended up committing murder against my sister.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. All right. So he murdered his own mother, right? And I say that I had to get personal, because when I see, the comments, and if you don't care about that, that's fine. But when I say the system is where the problem lies, I mean, it's a major pipeline, and they're all connected. The healthcare system, the justice system, the school system, all of these things are connected. All right. And it's all corrupt. I mean, we just be honest with you, man. It's all corrupt. So all that other stuff you're talking about, Trump this, Kamala that, that's all fine. I'm focused on one thing, hyper focused on doing what can be done to fix just your little corner of the world. I
That
just want
part.
to,
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And people are talking about reparations. Trump ain't bit more talking about no goddamn reparations. But Moya, what are your thoughts in terms of what do you think would best help the Black community?
Yeah. Well, first, I want to thank Dr. Charm for that quote from 25 years ago. It looks like from 1980 to 2000, because now it's 2024. So I'm assuming some things may have changed since that time. So the other thing I think it's important to really highlight is, why do we know what we know in terms of Kamala not providing what, in terms of people saying she prosecuted all these Black men, which is what the gentleman said in the clip. Well, one of the reasons is because the second George Bush, his brainchild, the Republican strategist Karl Rove, he went in 14 years ago. He saw what Kamala was going to do, and he started putting millions of dollars into California to build up this whole narrative of she prosecutes Black men. And so I feel like that's one of the reasons that we have this narrative around her, and it's stuck with her, because that's an idea that they pushed at that time. And he also mentioned pimping, like she's going to just pimp us for our vote. Well, as Vanessa highlighted here, pimping, and also Joe highlighted, pimping is really going to come from the prison system, because he's going to, if we look at Project 2025, stop and frisk. If we look at what they're doing to the justice system in terms of him saying police need to have immunity. So it's going to really change if Black men have now this direct pipeline into prisons, because as Joe said, you can be at the wrong place, wrong time. And we look at the Central Park Five, who he took out a full page ad for, saying they need to be killed, asking for the death penalty against these men who were later exonerated. So I think it's very clear where he stands on these issues in comparison to where Kamala stands and what she's pushing forward to really solve some of the major problems that we've encountered.
Well, let me ask you this, Dr. Charm. The things that Black men specifically are requiring for Kamala, they are not making the same requests or demands for Trump. It sounds like a lot of these Black men, even the ones in the comments, suffer from Stockholm syndrome. What do you think? Why are they demanding more from her, and they are willing to either sit on the couch or vote for Trump, even though they are not asking or expecting him to do anything for them, but they expect it for Kamala?
I don't think that they're not asking anything of Trump. I mean, he's already made it
I
clear on
see
the
nothing. Maybe my algorithm's off because I see nothing where black men is asking Trump for shit.
So I think that he's made it clear on where he stands with the illegal immigration issue, which is where I feel a lot of black male voters are looking at what he's doing for that. He definitely did some things with the opportunity zones, and then also with the if I'm not mistaken, the nonviolent offenders, letting them get earlier release. So there's some issues that he worked on. I know the opportunity zone was bipartisan, but that came into being during his tenure. So I think that he's made it clear on some of those things. I mean, he was the first one that, when he ran the last time, I don't know where they are with right now, but with the platinum plan for black people, then everybody got on Ice Cube and all these folks. They got on him for that and got on Ice Cube for that. And so I know, and I also know Dr. Claude Anderson said during the last administration that Jared Kushner, and they would call him all the time and try to talk to Dr. Anderson. So I don't know what those conversations were about, but definitely they're calling Dr. Anderson. So I don't think that it's like, that they're requiring something from him that they're not requiring from everybody else. I think black men and black voters in general we're just becoming more politically savvy. And I don't understand the vitriol when we are just not automatically voting Democrat. Like, why is every other group allowed to have an opinion of you need to do something, needs to be quid pro quo? But when we say, hey, what are you going to do for us? Then everybody's lecturing us, talking down to us. Well, you got to vote Democrat. You don't like her because she's a woman. That's just simply not true. I don't think that that's true when you have, you have black women in leadership all over the Democratic Party and politics that are voted for by black men. And at the end of the day, Kamala Harris is going to get the majority of the black male vote. It may be less than what it had been in the past, but she's still going to get the majority of the black men vote. But here, you still have all these people, I think, bullying black men and saying, you're going to do this. And, we have the ability and the right to be politically savvy. And I'm going to go on record and say, I'm not voting for Trump. I'm not voting for Kamala either. But, I am after this, all this mess that I've seen take place and how it's financially affecting me. Like I said, my property taxes have gone up and I'm seeing this money go to the migrants. I am turning independent. Like, we have to do something. And so, I know Diddy is in jail and everything, but he did have a good idea about having a black political party. So I hope somebody that's not participating in the freak offs take this and run with it. So the baby oil can be secure and safe, but we need to do something else.
No, I mean, listen, you are 100% right, because the problem is we have a two-party political system. And I believe at the end of the day, they are all just politicians. And when you talk about Ice Cube and you talk about black people who were pissed off at Ice Cube because he had a plan for black America, like, I'm trying to help you Negroes out and y'all mad at me because I went to the person in office to bring it to him. I talked to the other guy. He said he ain't had time to talk to me. So who am I going to bring it to? The person
Biden didn't call him back.
Right.
Biden didn't call him back.
So I understand that. But I think also, okay, before we do that, I want to give Joe, because I know Joe got a hard out. I want to give him an opportunity because I still want to continue the conversation for a couple more minutes. But I want to give you an opportunity just to give us your final thoughts. Joe.
So I appreciate the conversation. And I feel like, hopefully it gave everybody a lot of different perspectives on where to come from. And listen, everybody has to make decisions and choices through your lived experience. For me, Trump is not an option the things that I believe in, the things I care about, that I can go with. But I do understand where black men are coming from. I think that everything that Dr. Charm said was 100% on the money. That whole bullying black men for their vote, that is getting played out, is tired. And immediately, listen, if you are not a heterosexual white male, everyone should be getting talked to the exact same way, because that is literally the only person that benefits from what's going on in the American government system right now. So singling out the black man, bullying him, putting him down and telling him he's crazy if he doesn't agree or go with whatever you believe is the way he should go is not the way. We've experienced that for too long, for too many years, and that's just not going to move the needle. And if your objective, and I do this in counseling too, what is your objective? Okay, what is your objective? If your objective is to get support from the Black men, then you're gonna have to learn to talk with them instead of at them. That's all I will say.
Where can we find you?
You can find me on my website, realuconsulting.com. Couch. I'm on the couch right now. Couch is open for y'all. So come on, sit
All
down.
right. All right. Thank you, Joe.
Right.
So let me ask the rest of the ladies this, because every 4 years, and this is why I just be like, here we go again. They say this is the most important election of our lifetime. If we don't vote this way, it's going to ruin and the world is going to end and everything bad is going to happen. It's every election cycle. It's like vote or die. What do you think, Vanessa? Do you think that this is like the most important election of our lifetime?
No, I think it's politics. It has to be, every election has to be the most important election of the lifetime. It's marketing, it's politics. I will still say over and over again, every time I get in here when we talk about politics, we make a big hoopla of these presidential elections, but the real change is at our local and our state level.
Mhm.
So just understand that it is important who we put into the office for our president, but it is even more important who we elect locally and regionally. So, for people that are unsure, I'm independent. But what I did do this election is I sat down and I really went through the policies. And if you're around my friend circle, I actually got dinner with my friends and said, hey, we're going to eat dinner and look at these policies. That's what we're going to do. And we read through the propositions. I think it's very important to just, instead of people just looking at Instagram and flying off at the mouth, to actually read the policies put forth, read where your money is going, and look at the local and regional propositions and measures. They are everything. They affect, they have a bigger effect on you than even, the presidency. But in general, we have to vote for what will benefit us the most. And for me, unfortunately, I don't know. My vote will probably go to Kamala. It definitely won't go to Donald Trump because I just don't see, there's nothing there, right? There's nothing there. There's nothing there. For me personally, immigration is not an issue. Me personally, there are I want more capital for my business. I run a business. I need more
Yeah.
capital. I need to be able to apply for a loan. I need to be able to make my payroll. So those are real issues. I would like to see Black people have more home ownership. Those are
Yeah.
real issues in the Black community.
Yeah, that's how we're gonna close the wealth gap. Moya, what do you think? Is this the most important and dangerous election season of our lifetime?
I think we have to look at Project 2025. Like, is there a project? Would they really put out a plan, say 2025, have Donald Trump's name in it over 300 times and not put it into place? So I think that that's very, very important. And I'm actually with, I think it was Big Mac that you said, I almost want to see what happens if Trump is elected so people can see. Because I think when you have someone that says they want to be a dictator, someone that has throughout history said that he is not for elevating Black people in a way that increases their experience, then yes, you have to look at what that looks like for a group of people who have always been ostracized and not allowed an even level playing field. I think that that's super important. And I think that that's very crucial if we talk about moving forward in a way.
What do you think, Dr. Charm? Is this the most dangerous election season of life? Huh?
I don't know, but everybody, I saw that comment. The someone said about the bringing out the Project 2025. I don't know about Project 2025, but I know what has come to pass was Joe Biden's crime bill that's resulted in all these Black people's families being broken apart, and these policies that are affecting us. Here's the thing: we have agency, we have a vote. It needs to not be taken for granted. And I think in this election cycle, the thing that I'm happy about that came out of this election cycle is that they've demonstrated that when we put some lightning and some fire up under their behinds, that they kind of can get into motion. Because Everybody revolted over the weekend over Obama talking down to black people. And the next thing you know, we had a policy come out for black men and others. And so I will just have to say, I want to thank the Divine Nine, my sorors, and you better thank a union member for putting you here today.
Shut up.
Thank a union member.
Up. He's stupid. No, but
follow me on.
Wait, I didn't get to. Oh, was that your final thought? Was it your final?
Are we on final thoughts? Are we on final thoughts?
No, I was just asking if this was the. But I do want to get your final thoughts. I do, and then I think it's dope. I want to say this. I think it's dope that we have different opinions. We are not a monolith, and I'm glad we aren't all have the same thought about who we're voting for and why we're voting for whoever we're voting for. Now, I think you're crazy as shit, Dr. Charm, but I think it's dope that you have your opinion, and I love you anyway. No, I'm just kidding.
I love you too, Constance.
But I think it's great because we need to have these conversations because we need to be informed on both sides. This is a good and healthy dialogue that needs to happen. We should have somebody or people that are challenging the status quo. That's important. We should have people that are saying, "Look, something don't smell right in the water. I don't know." We need to be questioning those people because at the end of the day, I don't know that they all have our best interest at heart. And then just like you said, Vanessa, really it goes to the state and the local level. Like, who are we voting for our school board? Who are we voting for our, of our city council and our mayors? Those are the things that really, really affect us personally. But it's almost time to go. And I want to get your final thoughts. Okay. So we will start with let's start with
Moya. So I am Moya. You can find me on Instagram, and I hope everyone votes according to what's important to them.
All right. Thank you. Short and sweet. What about you, Vanessa?
I'm Vanessa Gopal. You can find me at VGopal. I have all my information there, my other companies. For me, just read the propositions, read the measures, read what is going to hurt your pockets or put money into your pocket. It is your money. It is your representative. Make sure they are working for you, and just make sure you read. Instagram is great, but read. Y'all get in them policies, Google, Chat GPT, read the propositions and read what's best for you and vote.
There we go. Stop listening to sound bites and headlines. What about you, Dr. Charm?
I just wanted to add on to my thought about the things that we would be concerned about. I know they're talking about Roe v. Wade and the abortion issue and having autonomy over our bodies, but under President Biden, we were forced to get vaccinations or lose our jobs. And there were so many lawsuits that had to be settled for millions of dollars by healthcare workers who were forced to get these mass vaccinations, or the jab, had to get that. And now you're seeing all kind of healthcare fallout, myocarditis and other things. And so just don't be fooled by if it's blue or red. I'm looking at the policies, and I still want to thank a union member. If y'all want to follow me on Instagram at CharmGirl77. I'm dropping new skits every week. Constance was laughing at my Jaguar ride. Y'all go in and catch my Jaguar ride. I dropped that one last week. It was an exclusive interview with Jaguar ride. And if y'all want to sprinkle my Cash App, it's right there too, Charm Tims. I love y'all. Thank y'all for having me.
I love it too. And here at the end of the day, however you vote, it's okay if somebody doesn't vote the same as you. It really is. You don't have to be enemies with somebody because they don't think the same as you. And I think that's the beautiful thing about us. So stop getting mad at your people. Stop unfriending people. Stop disowning your relatives because they don't have the same political thought as you. Love them anyway. Even if they crazy as shit like Dr. Charm, love them anyway. Where can you find me? Everywhere. I am Constance Carter. We appreciate it. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, every day, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And if you ever want to get the notifications from when we go live, text the word Queens to 87948. That's QUEENS at 87948. And if you want to know how to grow your money and not blow your money, please go to flynubianmoney.com. We're going to see you tomorrow. Same time, same back channel. And we love it when you talk back to us and talk black to us. Y'all ladies, y'all killed it. Y'all really did. And I love it all. So thank you guys. Tune in tomorrow. Peace.
Bye, y'all.